All right, so I've thought about this one a lot. I think it's time for the Miami Dolphins to face the truth that it's time to rebuild. My guy, Zeke Wager, who comes on the air all the time during the football season and leading up to the football season and afterwards to talk NFL, he's a huge Dolphins guy. And him and I have had a lot of dialogue about the Dolphins' current situation. And as a Dolphins super fan, he's in agreement. So in this video, I'm going to unpack why the time is now for the Dolphins to hit the reset button. If you're new to this channel, if you're new to the era, please subscribe. We'd love to have you on board. We're building this thing brick by brick, and I would love for you to be a part of the journey of the era's growth. So thank you very much for watching and subscribing. I really appreciate it. Back in 2019, the Dolphins had a clear vision when they embarked on an aggressive rebuild. They wanted to rip it down to the studs and rebuild strategically so that they can have the ability to compete with not only the AFC, but the NFL's elite. The Dolphins want to bring a Super Bowl back to South Florida. That's the intention. That's the end goal. And that was the vision when they began rebuilding in 2019. However, 6 years later, the Dolphins find themselves pretty good and much improved from the 2018-2019 days, and they're very much out of the playoff picture. They made several playoff appearances over the past several years, which can feel like you're moving the needle. But that emptiness lies in the fact that the Dolphins have yet to win a playoff game, despite appearing in the playoffs several times. And so, even though they've made the playoffs, that feels good. That's something you can boast about in the offseason. You got to go over that hump of winning a playoff game. And when it's been so long since they've won one, it's almost like having a monkey on your back. It doesn't really mean anything at this point if you make the playoffs and don't win a playoff game. Dolphins fans expect more at this point, and they should. The Dolphins have gotten into that predicament now where they're pretty good. They're a serviceable team with potential. But the Dolphins aren't considered by many people as a team that can make a deep playoff run, that have that second gear that kicks in January that fuels them to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. You see teams like that out there, like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, who are fixtures late in January. The Dolphins aren't taken seriously by many as a team that can do that because they haven't done it. They're really good, but not good enough to make that deep playoff run, which is what the purpose is at the end of the day. So, if you don't have that second gear, you might as well hit the reset button and somewhat rebuild so that you can instill that ability. And the numbers show that the Dolphins are in that position right now where they're perfectly average, really good, but not good enough. 2025, their over-under win total is 8.5. So if they're a team that could be pretty good, you can have a decent season. It's not going to be anything special. I mean, they went 8-9 last year. Again, pretty good. Not good enough to make a playoff spot. You won 8 games, but the bar is higher for the Dolphins at this point. That window's been open for a while. The bar is just set higher. Let's go back and look at these past win records for the Dolphins over the past several years. 2020, 10-6. It was a huge improvement from 2019, but that Dolphin luck, they went 10-6 and missed the playoffs. I don't even know if that'll ever happen again, but nonetheless, it happened to the Dolphins in 2020. 2021, 9-8. 2022, 9-8. 2023, 11-6. 2024, 8-9. So you could see that the window of opportunity was there, and it wasn't there more than it was in 2023 when the Dolphins had a 3-game lead on the Bills to win the AFC East, and they gagged it up. And it was in that moment that me and I think a lot of Dolphins fans and NFL fans overall felt that that window was starting to close shut for the Dolphins when they lost that lead. That 2023 was the opportunity. 2022 was a season where the Dolphins had a great start as well, and then it fell apart in December. But 2023, it was right in their hands, and it fell apart. It was devastating. You felt that window close, and 2024 they reset back to 8-9. It has been since 2000, since the Dolphins won a playoff game. You know what happened in 2000? I was born. It's 25 years ago. The Dolphins, you gotta go over that hump. You gotta win a playoff game here soon. And I think that Dolphins GM Chris Greer has finally accepted that when he made it clear the other day that he is interested in shopping Jalen Ramsey. There seems to be mutual interest on both sides, the Dolphins and Ramsey, to explore trade options. And I don't think that the possibility of trading guys like Jonnu Smith and even Tyreek Hill are off the table. The Dolphins are looking to start to clear house and shop some guys so that they can begin the process of rebuilding. That was the messaging in Chris Greer's press conference the other day, is that they're open to starting that rebuild. The Dolphins, they had the right strategy back in 2019 when they started rebuilding. And if you look close, you can see what the framework of it was. They wanted to compile draft picks and use those picks in coming drafts to draft young talent that they can develop so that those guys can serve as the foundation for a dominant team to come. And then they shifted gears and started acquiring big names to top it all off, to complete the picture. Because that's what you've seen great teams do in the past. You go draft young talent, guys are going to serve as your foundation, your glue, and then you top it off with big names, with stars, with some older guys that can be leaders and help give that young team a sense of direction. That's been the blueprint that has worked for so many teams in the past, and the Dolphins attempted to adopt that strategy. However, it didn't really pan out. The Dolphins didn't experience the same success that you've seen teams like the Chiefs, like the Eagles, like the Rams experience. It just didn't happen for them, and there is a reason for it. Number one, a lot of the guys that the Dolphins brought in, they're injury prone, and the Dolphins knew it, but they were willing to take the risk because of the potential upside. Guys like that include Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson. A lot of potential there, and when those guys are in the game, they're incredibly impactful, but they spend a lot of time hurt, and the best ability is availability. And you know, if you're a guy and you're on and off the starting lineup because you're injured, that can be detrimental to the team overall. And other guys that the Dolphins brought in, they just simply weren't as good as the Dolphins were expecting them to be initially. Guys like Liam Eichenberg, Raekwon Davis. You saw the high ceiling, but they just haven't reached it. And so when you look at the big picture here and assess it, the Dolphins had the right idea. They had the right strategy. They had the right mentality. But there were little details along the way that were neglected, such as potential for injury. You know, and there's a lot of guys on your roster that are injury prone, and the Dolphins had a lot of them. That's part of what cost them essentially their season 2023 was that IR just stacking up late in December, like you saw in that Ravens game, that Bills game in 2023. That injured reserve list was deep. Can't get in a situation like that again. The Dolphins, I think now is the time to rebuild, of course, but this time around, you cannot neglect details that are right there in front of your face. And you've got to do your homework. You've got to do your due diligence and ensure that you're getting guys in the building that, yes, have a lot of upsides, but are going to be available as well. Guys are going to sustain into January. Who are the guys that are going to deliver when the stakes are the highest? Those are the kind of guys that the Dolphins need to bring in this next rounds of rebuilding. And I know that Tua catches a lot of flack, and it's hard to say that he's been a hit, so to speak, just because he is one of those guys. He has been injured a lot the past couple years. But even though Tua has yet to have that game where he's clutch and puts the Dolphins on his back and delivers a victory in a huge moment, he hasn't had like that trademark moment yet. You look at Tua's numbers, he's incredibly consistent. He's incredibly accurate. And I think that is positive for the Dolphins moving down the stretch. Tua gets ostracized a lot. I'm of the camp of people that still embraces him, still trusts him, but I acknowledge that you've got to see more in these years to come. Dolphins, it's time to start rebuilding again, and there's nothing wrong with accepting reality. The quicker you can accept reality and be aware of it, the quicker you can start to act and be intentional about moving in the right direction. Dolphins Nation, they're ready for that, and Dolphins fans deserve better than what they've got these past couple years. Making the playoffs, but then early round exits. My boy Zeke, he's 26 years old. He's yet to see a Dolphins playoff win in his life. You know, he was an infant the last time they saw it. I mean, like actually, like conscious watching a game. It's been almost 30 years. And so, these Dolphins fans are hungry. And they deserve something. They deserve better than what they've gotten these past several years. So, if you're Chris Greer, you got to place an emphasis on the offensive line and defensive line. Take a page out of the Howie Roseman book, Success Starts in the Trenches, and the secondary linebacker core. That's got to get better for the Dolphins. He's overlooked that for years, and that's got to get better. It is time for the Dolphins to rebuild, because Dolphins fans deserve better than to be pretty good, but not good enough. To go into season saying, yeah, we'll be good, but I know we're going to fall apart at this point because this guy's going to get hurt and that guy's going to get hurt, and then we're going to be anemic and not the same team we were at the beginning of the season. They deserve to say, we're going to hoist Lombardi at the end of the season because we have this guy and that guy, and we're going to execute. Dolphins, it's time to rebuild because your fans deserve better. Have a great day.